Attorney General William Barr has told prosecutors to charge rioters with sedition, a serious charge, rarely used. The mayors of Seattle and Nashville get into the race of worst mayors of America, both for criminal conduct, but will they win? Maybe. Let's get into it. William Barr, Advocatus Maximus, wants to charge rioters with sedition, a charge usually reserved for those who want to overthrow the government. The statute for sedition can be found in the U.S. Code, Chapter 18, Section 2384, and it reads as follows. If two or more persons in any state or territory or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by war the authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, contrary to the authority thereof, they shall each be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both. It shouldn't be very hard to charge the Portland rioters with sedition. There are always two or more people with the clear agreement and the clear specific intent of burning down a federal building, aka conspiring to do it, and they actually tried setting it on fire. Let me refresh your memories. Sedition may just be applicable in this case, which brings us to my favorite race, worst mayor of America. William Barr is not just charging rioters with sedition, he's also looking into charging the mayor of Seattle with sedition, Mayor Jenny Durkan. In order to charge Durkan, he needs to prove that she was part of the conspiracy, and I think it might just be possible. On the 8th of June 2020, peaceful protesters took over Capitol Hill, a large area covering 6 blocks in Seattle. They called this zone CHAZ or CHOP, depending on who you ask. It would stand for the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, because they weren't part of the government anymore. The takeover of CHAZ was completed when the peaceful protesters were able to get the police to retreat from the police precinct, and they took over the police precinct. Government property. How do we get Durkan into this? She wasn't rioting, she wasn't part of it. In a way, she might have been. Durkan should have known that the acts of the rioters were criminal once they made the police retreat, once they put barriers up around 6 blocks, once they started policing the streets with AR-15s.
We just got told there's another group they're meeting with there, and then they'll be moving in a few minutes, so be ready.
Somebody over the age of 18 know how to use a gun? Take the clip out and put it back in.
No one's gonna like fucking ask me walking in here with an hour.
Nah, just come right back in.
Hell nah, bruh.
Keep the bell down.
Hey, keep that down.
Hey, if they arrest me, you got my bond?
I got you. Hey, I got you, just don't say any names.
Sit him down and knock it out. You better not mumble a name.
Insurance aren't bad. You get into a shootout and you're trying to just take cover, make sure you get to the arena well of the car. Get where the tires are at.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's center, but that's not as,
Engine blocking tires.
This is true. It might be misinformation, it might be lies. That's why I pointed out earlier. So we're just being ready. We're not doing anything illegal.
So what did she do? Did she send the police? Did she ask for a National Guard? No, this is what she did. She told the police to stand down.
The counter will be block parties don't take over a municipal building, let alone a police station, and destroy it, basically thumbing their nose at any sense of civic control. Do you believe that you have control of your city and that you would be able to clear those streets? Because you haven't.
We do, and the chief of police was in that precinct today with her command staff looking and assessing on operational plans. But we saw that it was a point of conflict night after night between the police department and protesters' place.
How long do you think Seattle and those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
Well, tell that to the police who was supposed to be in that precinct, though.
Durkan can probably be charged with some type of negligence as well, because she removed the police from the CHAZ zone wherein several heinous crimes took place. Because there was no police, and because the police not only could not enter, but the EMTs could not enter either. That's negligent, if you ask me. The father of a teenager killed in the CHAZ zone is suing Seattle and the state of Washington because of the lawlessness that they allowed to ensue, which ultimately took his son's life. It was very negligent, and people died. If you think my sedition analysis is too one-sided, I'll let Crystal Ball of Rising give you the other side really quickly.
So a new report that on a call with federal prosecutors, Attorney General William Barr advocating for very aggressive action against protesters, in particular violent protesters. So he is encouraging prosecutors to consider charging them with sedition, which, as you know, is like a plot to overthrow the federal government. It's very aggressive action. It's, in fact, rarely used. Just another sign of this sort of like overwhelming force and aggressive tactics that this administration, Barr has been a central part of that, has been willing to take against protesters.
Well, it's not protesters. These are people specifically charged with violence. We should be very clear. 200 people across the country who have been arrested for specific acts of destruction. And I mean, remember, the federal government can only act if they're threatening federal property. So all of the people here are charged with some sort of violent act, including like throwing Molotov cocktails, trying to burn things to the ground. I mean, look, it's deterrence. Like, if you're going to do something like this, yeah, I think you should be thrown in jail. And I think that there should be like aggressive tactics used to go against it.
Sedition is like next level. And
why?
To me, this fits in with the whole approach of sending in the National Guard, threatening the Insurrection Act, very sketchy situation with how the Antifa guy who ended up killing a Trump supporter was ultimately killed by police and trying to apprehend him. There are secret programs that are targeting protesters and collecting their data. I mean, it's just this very scary authoritarian crackdown, and threatening to charge them with sedition is just one more example of that.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with, charging people who are committing violent crimes with committing violent crimes and using everything that the federal government can possibly do.
Is this the appropriate charge?
Yes, I absolutely think
to overthrow the federal government?
That's a lot. What do these people want? I mean, I watched those people try to pull down a statue here in Lafayette Park, right over here. It's very much akin
How about the
to what they
Boogaloo
were
people?
doing.
We're going to charge them too. He doesn't seem so concerned about them. And that's the thing is, like, if you're going to be, first of all, I think it's outrageous any way around. But if you're going to do it, you have to be even-handed. And a lot of the violence has actually come from some of these white supremacists. And they're the ones that Trump goes, I'm not saying Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist. We don't have proof of that. But guy shows up with a gun and ends up killing two protesters. He's lauded as a hero. And meanwhile, Bill Barr is celebrating, and Trump is celebrating the extrajudicial killing of Michael Forrest Reinhold on the other hand.
Well, we don't know if it was extrajudicial, number one. The circumstances around that are unclear. Kyle Rittenhouse is a local...
retribution.
Yeah, terrible. Kyle Rittenhouse, again, that's not a federal crime, so there's no reason that the federal government should be involved. These are specific acts against federal properties and places. That's actually a federal crime.
It's a good show. Balanced. Check it out. Another mayor in the race for worst mayor of America is John Cooper, mayor of Nashville. This one is a bit different. Nothing to do with riots or crime. Well, a little crime. This one is a COVID-19 cover-up.
Farrier has the story.
The discussion involves the low number of COVID-19 cases coming out of bars and restaurants, and most disturbingly, how to keep it from the public. On June 30th, contact tracing was giving a small view of coronavirus clusters. Construction and nursing homes causing problems, more than 1,000 cases traced to each category. But bars and restaurants, a total of just 22 cases. Leslie Waller from the health department asked, quote, "This isn't going to be publicly released, right? Just info for mayor's office?" Correct. Not for public consumption, answers the mayor's senior advisor, Benjamin Eagles. 1 month later, the health department is asked point blank about the rumor that there are only 80 cases traced to bars and restaurants. Tennessean reporter Nate Rao asks, quote, "The figure you gave of more than 80 does lead to a natural question. If there have been over 20,000 positive cases of COVID-19 in Davidson and only 80 or so are traced to restaurants and bars, doesn't that mean restaurants and bars aren't a very big problem?" Metro Health Department spokesman Brian Todd asks 5 Metro Health Department officials the question, "Please advise how you recommend I respond." The name at the top of the response is clipped off, but you may find the answer unacceptable. Quote, "My 2 cents, we have certainly refused to give counts per bar because those numbers are low per site. We could still release the total though, and then a response to the over 80 could be, quote, because that number is increasing all the time and we don't want to say a specific number." Neither the health department or the mayor's office would confirm the authenticity of the emails. But Councilman Steve Glover asked a Metro staff attorney to inquire. Here's the official answer. "I was able to get verification from the mayor's office and the Department of Health that these emails are real," answered the staff attorney. Glover says this adds up to a cover-up.
They're fabricating information. They've blown their entire credibility now, Dennis. It's gone. I don't trust a thing they say going forward. Nothing.
Glover says
we raised taxes 34%, and we put literally hundreds and thousands of people out of work that are now worrying about losing their homes, their apartments, etc. And we did it off of false information and bogus data. That should be illegal.
But why? Why would the mayor keep this information from the public? Why? Could it be that they want everything locked down so the economy fails? So Orange Man failed? I don't know. It sounds like a conspiracy, but what other reason could it be? I think John Cooper is definitely in the race for worst mayor of America, but he's lagging behind of Bill de Blasio, Lori Lightfoot, Tel Wheeler, and the new top runner, Jenny Durkan. What do you think? Is sedition too much? Is Jenny Durkan one of the worst mayors of America? Comment down below. Like, subscribe, Ginger out.